and welcome back to another awesome week of aescripts and AE plugin sales week number 4, which is the last one. My name is Ryan Selvey. I'm going to be your host all this week. We're streaming on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Same time, same place. It's great to have you here. Hello to Randall in the chat over on Behance. And also hello to Zack and Sarah over on YouTube. We are simulcasting, so no matter where you're tuning in from, we're happy to have you. We have a loaded list of guests this week, full of creators that all are offering awesome sales of 25% off their plugins, which are normally always priced at a really affordable rate, but in respect of having people be able to afford something nice, there is an awesome series of sales throughout the summer on aescripts that Lloyd, who will be coming on the show later, will speak to, and you guys can check out. But if you are tuning in and you are not familiar with aescripts and AE plugins, maybe you found this stream from YouTube's Discover, or you're on Behance hanging out, just want to lead you guys in on what we're talking about today. It is a wonderful website that shares a space for creators to be able to upload plugins where they can also offer extensions and scripts that can really bring a lot of your creation to the next level. This week in particular, there's a series of sales. If you just go to aescripts.com, you can see all of the things that you can save up to 25% off on throughout the week. There's 11 pages worth. If you want to see it in a more condensed sale, you can go down here and you can check it out person by person. We have a loaded list of people all this week. We're going to have today Zack Lovett, Chris Vranos, Scott Lewis. But later in the week, we're going to have Alex White, Oliver Mail, Brenton Brander, Nick Scott, and Mahing, and The Machine Must Work. Also with an appearance by Gregor Urbal. So it's great to have you. And hopefully we can help you guys find some really great plugins that you can get or, add to your wish list. And I'm going to actually roll the advertisement for the week that you can find on the website, but just to give you an idea of the sales. So here you go. I love that video. Every single time I watch it, it's I always catch something new that I want to learn how to do, whether it's the little astral projection behind the spaceship or the cool little noise effect that I've kind of tried to replicate when I was creating all the stream assets for this. If you don't know, I'm a motion designer, and I use a lot of these plugins myself. I use this time every single year to actually stock up on things that are on my wish list or things that I discover because they're on sale. I'm hoping that we can authentically give you advice on ones that will work best for you. We'll be talking about which artists these are really good for, which projects they're good for, and we just really hope to be authentic as possible. And also, if you guys have questions in the chat, if you have advice or experiences with these plugins, please voice off in the chat and say hello. Tell us your experiences, tell us your recommendations, and we would love to look into them. But as promised, we do have some guests today. It's not just going to be me the whole time. It's my honor to bring in Zack today. Zack is a very active member of aescripts. In fact, actually, if you go to his page by creator, you can see that there's literally too much to just put on one page. He has 13, so there's 12 a page, so it's just one off to the next. But nonetheless, it's 2 pages. So please help me in welcoming Zack, and welcome to the show.
Hello. Hi.
Thanks for coming back. I know last time you were here for week number 3. And
Yeah.
that time you were here on behalf of your partner, Alan Freeman. But this time it is all on you. So
Just
no
me.
pressure.
Oh, so much pressure, especially with the hype of like 2 pages on aescripts.
Yeah. I think you're the most saturated of today's offerings. So we're starting off with a hefty load.
I mean, you know what they say, quantity, not quality.
That's exactly what they always say. So
Yeah,
there are actually a bunch of extensions that just change the color of the product at the end. That's all. It's just a hue shift.
Yeah, that's all we need. Simple.
Just kidding. There are some amazingly resourceful and helpful plugins that we'll be going through. Also, for the previous live streams, you catch them all on my page on behance.net/RyanSelvey. You can also catch all the replays also here on YouTube, right under the video section with past live streams. You can check out Zack as he goes over one of his plugins that he worked on with Alan called, I can see it in my head, Ash, which is a cool coding one. But today we wanted to talk about some of the stuff that you created. So is there something in particular that you want to plug that you're excited about?
To me, Flex is the most exciting, and I think it's not a coincidence that it's the newest one.
Right.
It's exciting, it's new, it's fresh, it's fun. It's all about like lines and grids, just making things move responsive to the other elements on, I was going to say on the page, but in your comp. And this is something that's been kind of trending up recently that we've seen. I have a partner who worked on this with me. He didn't do any of the development on like Ash, whereas he just had the idea, and I would bounce versions off him and be like, how does this work? Or give me some references. And we pulled together a whole bunch of reference points and then started building around that to come up with it. But yeah, Flex is fun.
Let's check out the trailer for it right here. So that's Flex, and we'll be hopping right back in to talk to Zack about it in just a second. But I want to take a second to say hello to a bunch of people that have also just joined the chat all the way from Brazil. We have Eater. Elise, welcome back. I know you were watching a lot last time we did these live streams, so it's really good to see you again. Hello to Aisha, to Sarah, to Alex. Sarah saying, it's super sunny today in PDX. Never seen his office so bright before. And then also to Sky. Sky is giving compliments to both me and Zack's Lush Green friends. They're doing better than last time. The other one that was here in the other stream, he's in a different room, but he's not doing as hot. But maybe by next year's sales, we will have a Lush friend that returns. But I am really excited because actually, while we were playing that trailer, we have the privilege of welcoming Lloyd to the stream. Lloyd, if you don't know, is the creator and CEO of aescripts and AE plugins. Everything has gone through him, and you can please help me welcome Lloyd. Hey, Lloyd, how's it going?
Great. Glad to be back.
Good to see you again. How's your summer going?
Not too bad. It's been a little bit of an up and down, I think, for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been getting weird again here in New York a little bit, but we'll see. Fingers crossed. I have a vacation coming up next week, so we'll see. We'll see. But for those of the viewers that are new to both these live streams and to aescripts, you kind of want to give a rundown a little bit of where aescripts started, when it started, and what it kind of looks like.
Yeah, sure. I was an After Effects artist myself for many years, and I started creating little tools that I used for my own workflow. And I started sort of like sharing them with like sort of close circle of friends, which then got out to, I was a freelancer in New York. So then the sort of like the freelancer network in New York were all like, hey, can I get this tool I heard about? I heard it's great. And so then I was like, okay, well, it's getting too hard to sort of distribute this one by one. So then I set up the website to kind of, have a place for the tools to live, because this is like way before Adobe Exchange existed or any of these other things. So there was really no place for sort of these kinds of little tools to exist and be distributed. So I just made the website. And then, it slowly grew from there into what it is today. So, yeah. I can't hear you. Ryan.
So many different artists are able to use the service, and I was saying it's a little bit of an understatement to just say that it's kind of grown. It has become the source and location for at least all of my plugins and all of my extensions. When I'm looking to do something, it's the first place that I look if I can't find a basic tutorial on how to do it. I want to add to my workflow, and also just find out that I can do new things that I didn't even know you could do within After Effects or the flurry of other programs that are supported on the site.
And, it's worth noting that now, of course, there's many other places where you can get things. The initial goal was to sort of create this one central repository where we had sort of every possible script that existed for After Effects initially. But we then realized that was, sort of not a tenable goal. So now we really try to focus on just having sort of the best tools that we can have for whatever category, and there are still, other stuff that I think are fantastic tools that we don't have on our site, like Duix is a great example. So we're huge supporters of the Duix project ourselves, because we do believe in just getting these tools out there. So we are really our mission is really just to get the tools into the hands of the user, or the After Effects artist. Well, now it's obviously more than After Effects, right? But to get into the hands of the artists, the editors, and just hopefully make their lives a little easier at the end of the day.
Absolutely. And also, to Zach's point, kind of like the ability of having these emerging trends that are happening, and being able to help people access that. I'm going to bring you back in, Zach, by the way. Zach is the creator of Flex, which we just watched the trailer for. And when I first saw it, I know I've seen it in a few places. I was trying to pull up some inspiration as to what it exactly reminded me of, but it kind of gave me the idea of a very expensive looking Brady Bunch. I was wondering, where did you get your inspiration to create Flex?
You're muted, Zach.
I knew that. Ryan had to do it. I had to do it. Lloyd, you're next.
Yep.
There's sort of two facets of Flex. There's a line mode where it's pretty much just a single row or column, and then a whole grid mode. And conceivably, they're very similar. It's like an object resized to fit the other one, but the reference points that inspired both of them were very different, just because, and the way they're working in Flex are very different as well. Just, I don't know, due to the different trends we're seeing. And so line mode, a lot of this, we just kept seeing this on Instagram or in different people's projects coming up. A lot of the work with I think it was the Pixel 4 launch as well that Buck did, had a lot of these moving lines and grids. And so that was a big push for a lot of the reference decks that we started with. And then after that, if you were to look through the Google material design like spec sheet, there's a lot of examples of these different grids and lines reflowing and resizing everything around it. And so that was also a big reference point, just kind of like seeing what these big tech companies were doing or using as reference and pulling from there. And that was sort of the idea. Like, I don't know, just going and doing a ton of digging to see things that could be remotely feasible and figure out if we could find a way to build them into the tool.
And, if I can say something about tools like Flex, I think Flex are a perfect example of something that you can absolutely do by hand, but it would just take so long. It would be such a pain in the ass. And the other thing that I think Flex does is it actually graphically shows math. Math is beautiful, and Flex is a perfect example of showing math in action. And so to me, this is like my favorite kind of tool that marries this concept of amazing workflow tool, meaning like you can focus on designing as opposed to figuring out like oh man, I forgot to move this anchor point, or I forgot to resize this mask, and this is overlapping, because it's all actually happening by math. And then you can just focus on what does it look like. And then you just also realize that just math is beautiful. So I love Flex.
Just plug in that math love always.
but this is a thing. And I mean, Zack, I won't speak for you, but for me, when I was taking math in school, it was it was interesting, but it was kind of like a chore. And when I started doing programming and I started being able to like visualize a sine curve or all of these other mathematical things, I was like, okay, now I'm super hooked. It's like, I wish I had learned it this way the first time around.
Yeah, there's a specific word for it, because I'm learning. Since our last streams, I've been starting to teach myself Cinema 4D. And Sky, I know you're in the chat. You taught me how to, but there's the way of approaching the design where it's all editable, and then there's ones where you can like turn it into a polygon or whatever. And it's cool that with this, I'm showing my amateurness of this, but I can't think of the word. It starts with a P, if you know what I mean.
Parametric.
Parametric. Yeah, it's kind of like parametric design, where it's all editable, and it seems like it can really help keep things organized in your workflow.
Speaking of which, After Effects is a 100% parametric program. So actually, back in the day, I would actually do my stillboards in After Effects for that reason alone, because in Photoshop, especially back then, I'm really dating myself. Photoshop is slowly trying to be sort of undoable. But back then it was like, everything was sort of bitmap and glued down. And if you had to make changes, it was a pain in the ass. So by doing it in After Effects, you can always go back and like edit something in a pre-comp, like 5 pre-comps down, and have it ripple through. So few people realize that After Effects is sort of like a full, non-destructive parametric tool.
Which has saved me more than a handful of times where I've been way too far down. I'm like, I'm just going to have to delete all this, or I'm just going to have to undo to an extent to save this project. And
go on aescripts and find a script that can resize all your comps to the new aspect ratio.
But Zack, when did this Flex come out?
Ooh, probably say March or April. Definitely this spring. Yeah, but we started working on it, or rather, we started talking about it, me and my partner, on this probably last spring. And then it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I'll start working on it soon. I'll get to it soon. And that just happened for so many months. And then I moved in the middle of it, and life came up. But yeah, finally just able to finish it. Kind of just like took a sprint to get it done earlier this year and get it into people's hands.
Now,
which is
have
nice.
you used it a lot in your projects moving forward, or has it mostly been a passion project where it's just kind of things that you've created for yourself?
So I haven't been in the artist role in a bunch of years now. I'm solely focusing on tech and execution implementation, which puts me in a weird spot where I'm not actually using a lot of the tools I make anymore to the same extent I did in the past. And specifically with Flex, this is sort of a new era of development I'm exploring, in which all of my tools before, even the collaborations, are things that I'm trying to solve a problem that I'm experiencing. This is some hurdle that I have in my work. I want to fix it. Let's make it generic. Let's make it general and make it something everyone can use. Flex is this new type, or this new philosophy, I guess, that I'm exploring, where somebody else has this vision and they don't know how to execute. And so they're going to come to me and say, like, look, you know how to make scripts. I've got this idea. How do we make this work? And so I haven't used it a ton, but my partner on it, Vincent, he has. And so that to me is sort of the best possible situation, because it's not just something that I'm assuming people will find useful because I do. It's real full-time artists saying, I need this, please make it. I will pay you for it. And so that to me is just very, very gratifying. Just very, very satisfying.
Being paid? Yes, I agree.
Well, yeah, less than being paid and more just like the ego boost of like knowing I can do something to help others in like a sustainable way.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
Being paid is nice too.
And this also isn't the only thing that you are providing. I know that this is normally $25, but today and through Friday, it's going to be down to $18.75.
Amazing.
Which is great, because we've got plenty of things on sale, and this is our first one that we can highlight, but it's definitely not the last for you.
Yeah.
I wanted to see if you also wanted to go in a little bit to another one of your very popular ones called Flow.
Yes, Flow. Again, Flow, another collaboration with RenderTom. Flow is like contrasting it. Flex is something where if you need something to dynamically move or resize, Flex is there, it's easy. Flow is like this everyday helper tool where every single time you make keyframes, you're going to want to ease them. You don't want to keep your stuff linear. And so that's where Flow comes in. And again, this is just like helping companies, helping artists sort of maintain this speed and quickness with being able to handle their animation curves. And I think, to me, I see Flow as these two separate products in one. And one is the quick and easy graph editor, which is all about, you make a little graph, you can apply it to your keyframes, easy. But the whole separate product is the library preset system, where we give you a few simple animation curves, but you can just make your own and import export. And so what we hear with a lot of our clients is that if they're working on a whole series of jobs for, Subway, they will have their Subway animation curve branding guide library. And then they'll have their other one for the next client, and then one for the next client, and so on. And so more and more these days, big clients, big companies are having their motion style guide, which comes with their specific easing curves, because these values are used in engineering, in web, in app development, all sorts of things. And so being able to sort of manage and maintain all that and ensure you've got that brand consistency is valuable. I mean, and this is something we've been hearing for the past 6 years since Flow's come out, just that being able to quickly apply and manage these libraries goes a long way.
It's fantastic. Just for people who are joining and have never seen Flow before, I'm also going to play the trailer for Flow. So here we go. It's so cute. It's such a cute, like all of your different stuff. I have one last one that we're going to do after Flow real quick. We won't keep it too long, but I really love all of your introductory videos. Did you make them or did you outsource for those?
It depends. The older ones I did make, and then I've sort of evolved past, like through the years. This one, RenderTom made and animated. The one for Flex, my partner, Vincent Raineri, animated. But yeah, I haven't seen the Flow one in a long time, and it is so cute.
Very cute. Sarah Gibson says, so cool. Also, I want to call out Aisha. She said math is beautiful. I know she said that a while ago, but I still want to shame her for it.
This is another good math example.
Yeah.
All these curves are math curves. So.
Now, one thing I want to touch on definitely is the fact that aescripts, similar to Behance, is used by such an array of skill sets. So you have people who are entering the motion graphics world, and you also have some veterans that can run circles around anyone. And so I think Flow is a really good example as a tool that can be used by both experts and by people coming onto the scene. For somebody who's just getting started off with curves, all of these 25-1 curves come automatically with the plugin, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and for what it's worth, just like the visual discrepancy, there's 24 there. The 25th is linear, just like not at all eased. But
the 25th is a secret one, so good luck, everybody.
It's like the zero.
Up, down, down, A, B, A. Yeah, so every single program or website or web tool or anything that has any sort of animation easing will have these 25 curves in them. There's this cross-industry-wide standard set of easing curves called the Penner curves usually. And so we just provide those as like a default library underneath a little scholar hat that you see in the screenshot there. But then there's the whole user library side as well. But I mean, we still think that... sorry, go ahead.
teams can create their own curves per brands, like you were saying, and that's kind of more focused towards someone who has more expertise in it, because you can go into this editor and you can edit down to the decimal point as to where it's being affected, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And we do give some numerical inputs, and these values are like cubic Bezier values, they're called. It's just the engineering tech standard for how you describe animation. But,
and you mentioned, what was the, I want to put it in the chat, what was the name for the different Bezier standards that you...
Penner.
Penner.
Penner. Yeah, based on Robert Penner.
You guys want to check those out? I'm going to throw it in the chat for you.
Penner is a dude who came up with these easing algorithms back in the day.
Always named after somebody. I'm just hoping that the Selvi isn't something embarrassing.
Oh, you haven't heard?
Oh, no.
As long as it's not linear, you're good, man.
Right. Okay, and so the very last one that I want to also touch on, it seems like a lot of your tools, kind of to Lloyd's point, are ways of really taking things that you could do by hand and bringing them to the next level. One that I was personally drawn to was the Swatcheroo, which is something that's frustrated me in After Effects for years on end. And I also just really want to show the trailer for it, so I'm going to play it and then we can talk about it. So that one was a little bit of cute and a little bit of nightmares.
Yeah, well, like everything in life.
Right.
I want to say that I called it when I saw that promo the first time. I said, this is just setting a whole new... Not only is it the best product promo ever, it's still, I think, pretty much... It's like, if the best promo ever was here, Swatcheroo, that promo is like... It's literally Alfred Hitchcock. It's like they got Alfred Hitchcock to make the everything about it is just so brilliant. I mean, the sound, the concept, the design, the execution, everything about it is like 12. It's just beyond.
It's a lot. It's cool. As a friend of mine, I wanted him to do the promo, and he said, "Look, I want to make a short film. Can we make the short film for the product and kind of like bring these all together?" Like, yeah, for the absolute. Like, why would I say no to that? And like the only requirements from the client side were I want all of the features to be shown off in a way, like I want all the features to be shown off. And it's not a tutorial. I've heard some complaints through the terrible YouTube comments, people being like, I don't get what it does. I'm like, that's okay, go look at the tutorials. But Swatcheroo is, I don't know, that video is the coolest thing and I can never top that.
Yeah, so who was your friend?
Sorry?
Who was your friend that did it?
Patrick Diaz out of Toronto.
Awesome.
Now animation director and animator artist. He is wonderful and a longtime friend.
And by the way, this is also another thing I like about this is like the tool is not complicated. It's a swatch, it's a color swatch tool. So people who are complaining about this is just that's the other reason I love the promo, is because, you know, it could have just been, hey, look, this is the 3 things it does, but instead you're like raptured by this video. I just love it so much, because that's the other thing. I really want to make sure that when people are taking time out of their day to watch something that we're sort of essentially a sales pitch, right? That we're not just sort of wasting your time. Like, even if you don't buy this tool, you're not going to regret having watched that promo. Like,
right.
It's like something you want. You know, I would have paid money to go see that at film festival. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's good stuff.
It's great, and I like the leg that you see then it comes out of the hole when it has good composition to it. It's really fun.
They could do a whole film class about this in film.
Today we'll be going over the trailer for a plugin.
It's great.
I do want to call out that Sky was mentioning that everyone should know about Cubic Bezier, .com, where you can test your curves and copy and paste the values into Flow. That's a really nice use case that isn't necessarily on surface level. Make sure you guys check that out. He posted it in the Behance, and I also put it on the YouTube. And then also, I just wanted to give you props, Zach, because Aisha said Flow is one of my favorite plugins. So.
Well, thank you. That Flow is like the one of my own tools that I use more than anything else. It just keeps coming up, despite the caveat earlier. But it's just so utilitarian, and I think a lot of that kind of appeals to me. Quicker ways of getting things done.
And by the way, another thing that Flow, speaking of that Cubic Bezier website, another thing that Flow is good for is if you're doing any kind of design, UX design or UI design for an app or a website, then doing it this way means that then that whatever you design motion-wise can be executed through code in the app, and that's super important.
Absolutely. And so this one is Swatcheroo is $15 normally, and it's $11.25. And I'm not going to startle you guys with 25% off, but 25% off.
I would have paid $15 just to watch that promo. I'll go on.
All right. So we're coming up on time for our time with you, Zack. But I did want to do something we're doing new this week. And I know I spoke to you about it, but since you have such a flurry of all of these extensions, I was trying to find the best way that we could go and learn about all of them in a very quick time. So we're going to do something called 4 words or less.
4 words or less.
So I pulled up your page, and we're just going to go through all 13 real quick. And since it is the 4th week and final week, the 4th week of sales, we're going to do 4 words or less. I know Prism is not on sale. I think that's the only one that's not on sale, but I still think we should go over it since you have a part of it. Well, let's go with that. All right, Prism.
Smartly color your layers.
Okay. ESL.
Split up your layers.
Okay. Ash, even though we did it last week.
Nerd colors for code.
Okay, nerd colors for code. That's a good one. Flow.
Super easy animation curves.
Easy bake.
Convert expressions to keyframes.
And back.
That's for.
He said those two. I didn't say that.
Well, I said it, but it's an important detail that
And
local hero.
Oh, localize your project assets.
All right, flex.
Dynamic. Oh, I'm just reading this one now. Dynamic layer layouts. There's your less.
Ooh, that's expedited. We're not going to do the bundle. Swatcheroo.
Stroke, fill, flip flop.
Huge. Create pivotal null. It's kind of the title.
Parenting nulls really quickly.
Trim comp to contents.
It's already 4 words.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Product item labels, kind of also like your earlier ones are just kind of like what they are.
Oh, they're so descriptive. In my defense, I think some of these, like these really early ones, are 8 years old at this point. The very first things I ever scripted and had up, but yeah.
Alex is saying this is so Zack, and Sarah saying Zack is in his element right now, flexing that brand, which I definitely agree.
Oh yeah, I mean I've got the crossword up right here. We're good.
Also, to your point, Sarah, you said NEOS the King, show me what you got. It may or may not have been the inspiration for that. I saw the giant head in the intro, and I used that's my voice, obviously. Just made it really quiet. I'd be really low. But that is pretty much everything that I have for you for today. But I want everyone to just go ahead, check out your profile, get excited for whatever is next down the road. Are you working on anything else right now?
Nothing ready to announce, but plenty. I mean, a bunch of client stuff. I also have a big list of freebie scriptlets on my site of just like things that aren't big enough to make it onto aescripts.com just yet. Mm-hmm. But I just released a new one there for free on my site. That's all about saving your selected keyframes with a bunch of different presets. So like you can select all of your intro keyframes, all of your outro, and then go animate something else, move your layers, change the timing, and with a button, get those keyframes back so you can change the timing again or retime, re-ease, and stuff like that. But just like if anyone has suggestions or thoughts on little helpful tools, let me know. And we can,
Zack
make it happen.
Zack is really great about contributing to the community that way. He's got, not only does he provide all these free tools on his site, but he has undertaken a massive undertaking, which is to organize a lot of the documentation around scripting and plugin development. And so great that Adobe actually kind of took over. And so thank you for that. So thank you, Zack, very much for that.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming on again, Zack.
For sure.
Hope to continue to talk to you in the future. We love having you on both weeks. It's a great way to start the week. First guest of the week. Congratulations. We did it.
Thank you.
And now we're moving on to the next. But
just last note, fantastic shirt, Ryan.
Thank you. I got it yesterday. I got it yesterday for today. It's from Bonobos. It's like terry cloth.
I agree. It's a great shirt. It goes well with the glasses too.
Which are also new. I had to get ready for this week. I didn't have hair and makeup, but I could do wardrobe.
Next time.
Next time.
All right.
Well, thank you, Zack. Appreciate it. Take care.
Prism will be on sale shortly. I'm working on that.
Sweet.
You're watching AE Scripts and AE Plugins Summer of Sales Week 4, going on August 9th to 13th. Save on dozens of creators' offerings. Going on now at aescripts.com.
All right, guys. So first one in the bag. More to come. Like I said, we have plenty this week. I'm really excited of introducing our next guest, Chris Vranos. He is a creator of one that is always on the front of aescripts.com, and it has been on my wish list for the longest time. He does Lockdown and Composite Brush, but I want to go ahead and bring him on in. So how's it going?
Hey, how are you?
Doing great. You got you got your colors and everything all on lock. Yesterday when we were doing the test,
yes,
Chris was very concerned about our white balances matching, and I appreciated that.
Yeah. Lloyd, what are you doing? You're tinted a little bit green.
Oh, really? I feel like
compared to us.
You're too lush.
I'm warmer, not green.
This is such a video editing motion graphic conversation, though.
I don't have control.
See, I have my little app here, and I'm playing with the focus.
Oh yeah,
that's so cool.
That's yeah. So you can play with all sorts of stuff there. You can change the tint, color balance. See. Now I'm gonna try to match Lloyd.
Now you're green.
Okay, I'm done playing with that. How are you guys? It's been too long. Lloyd, I haven't seen you since before the world ended.
Oh God, I know, man. How you doing? Nice beard.
Yeah, thanks.
Oh, is that a COVID development?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, that's fun. I mean, it looks good. It's great. I tried it at some point, but I got too frustrated, and then I was just like, "No, that's not happening." But we brought you on today to talk about a bunch of your plugins that you have going on. One of the big ones, obviously, being Lockdown, that a lot of people use, and it's becoming industry standard. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to queue up that trailer, but when we get back, we'll talk right about it. again, another awesome trailer that gets me a little too hyped. I feel like I'm in a sports game, but it's just like to do video editing. So where did Lockdown come from? What inspired you to create it?
Well, I think it was probably back in 2017, maybe earlier. I had to do this shot where there was a wristwatch. You ever see those curved Samsung wristwatches?
The ones that like bend around.
Like, yeah, it's not quite flat. And I was like, okay, we got like 8 tracking markers on here. I didn't shoot it, and I didn't want to do a full 3D solve. That wasn't going to work that well. And I was thinking, okay, I'm going to have to do like 4 planar tracks between each of the segments of the markers. And it was pretty obvious that the solution there was just to create a mesh that comes together. So at this point, Composite Brush already existed. I was comfortable making plugins. So we built a mesh tool, and we didn't build a tracker. We just, we thought, okay, so you can create the mesh, you can apply keyframes to the mesh, and it's going to help you for situations like this that are hard to track. We did that. It was looking good. We were about ready to release. And then we finally got to the point where it's like, okay, how do we get tracking data into Lockdown? And it was a complete disaster. There was no way to easily access the tracking data that you could generate in After Effects. So we went back to the drawing board for another few months and just wrote our own tracker. And, you know, A led to B, B to C, and it spiraled out of control. And now it's its own pop-out application in 2 hosts.
So yeah, you do it outside of actually built straight into After Effects. It opens up its own little program that you have, and then you do the editing, and then it brings it back in, right?
Yeah, that was half for speed for the user, because with After Effects, there are things that After Effects has to render, and there are some slight delays. There are some slight delays in scrubbing responsiveness in the UI. And we knew exactly what we needed to make Lockdown as fast as possible, which is we get the render frame, and then we render our own grid over the top of that. So the pop-out, 1, because it's faster, and also 2, to make it very convenient for us as developers. So when we make it for After Effects and Resolve, and don't hold me to this, maybe someday Final Cut and Premiere and Nuke and whatever, it just pops out into the same interface. And the only thing that we have to actually write with the plugin is a little button that says pop out and opens our standalone interface.
Oh, I mean, it does incredible work. And it works so seamlessly.
Chris has this ability to make these really complicated things sound so easy.
Right?
We just pop it out into our own interface.
It's just coding and crying. That's what my life is now.
Hand in hand.
You mentioned that it had become an industry standard, and like, okay, it has, and I'm very grateful for that, and it's awesome. And it's especially great that happened around the time of the pandemic when I lost my job. But at the same time, the demand for features and updates in the way that me and my team have to hustle, and we're constantly expanding, let's just say it's been very good, but sleep depriving.
No, absolutely.
And we should note that the name Lockdown was
oh my God.
years before there was an actual lockdown.
Yes. The people were so mad. So the After Effects community, they all heard of Lockdown right when we launched it back at the end of 2018. There was a beta. 2019, we actually did the launch. And then the news, the pandemic happened, and they started calling the quarantine a lockdown. And everyone laughed on the After Effects side. They thought it was funny. And, we joked how my searchability on Google went to nothing. The word lockdown obviously taking on a new meaning. But then we launched the Resolve beta, and people were pissed. Like, they thought that we were making light of the lockdown situation. You should have seen the comments. And I'm just sitting there. Again, my job is just crying, depending on what the task is. I'm crying and coding, or I'm crying and apologizing. So like the last month has just been crying and apologizing on like YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, everywhere where the Resolve users are seeing this.
It's incredible.
You should stop calling it versions 1, 2, and 3 and just call them by Greek letters.
That or by years, you could do 2020, just say Lockdown 2020 and see how that really sits with people.
We almost rebranded. Right? Lloyd, we had this conversation, like, should we rebrand? And we're like, nah, the lockdown will be over eventually.
Call it Lockdown version Delta and be done with it.
This is dumb. It went right over my head.
Dude, but here's the thing is we found out that if we were going to change it and change the name in the installation folder, then it would become unlinked. And then every person who would ever use Lockdown when they went to upgrade, we'd have to make some other tool to convert it and connect it. And it just wasn't worth it because not all of our customers want to deal with that hassle over branding.
Yeah.
So
I
we're
don't think
stuck-
anyone would really,
Yeah.
honestly.
We're stuck with the name Lockdown.
It's a good one though. I think it works
Yeah.
well for what it does. I know
Delta
Eric Wendell
Airlines has not
says,
changed their name the last time I checked. Neither did Corona Beer. So
oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a little bit even more on the nose. Eric Wendell says, out of control. Raymond McCarthy Bergeron says, Chris, you phenomenal genius.
Oh,
So,
right.
obviously
Ray,
you've made some fans.
I miss
in the
you.
chat.
I miss you, Ray. I know that guy. He did a couple of my promos.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. Who created your promo for Lockdown?
It's been a lot of people. So Ray was extremely helpful early on. He did the first few. Then he got busy working himself to the ground with some new jobs. And then it's just a mix. I just hire freelancers. But as a rule, I always do all the tracking because I feel like that's why I can make plugins so fast. As Zack was saying earlier, is when you're using your products and you see what the demands are and you see what the pain points are, it makes you a better product developer. So even though I could potentially use people to track my projects, I still do the tracking myself. I have different graphic designers, different compositors, different editors, but I track everything.
Oh, I mean, that's, comes from the creator. It's going to be its best possible. I think it comes from a good point, though, where obviously you developed it and you know this program inside and out. Is there anything you'd like to share as the expert of the program, of maybe something that maybe new users would want to learn as they get into it, or even
the biggest key point. Okay, so this is actually one thing that maybe we made a mistake in advertising, is that when we show tracking with Lockdown, we're trying to prove the integrity of the tracker. So we'll circle the whole frame with like hundreds of tracking points, and you'll see that mesh follows like beautifully, like it does a really great job. But that's not how you should ever start your work. Whenever you're doing a mesh track, you want to be using as few points as possible, because if there's any small like subpixel drift or there are overlaps, the fewer points you have, the easier it's going to be to manage. And then once you stabilize your mesh using, say, a dozen hero points, then it becomes very easy to add points to the stabilized mesh. This is a new feature. I don't know how many people know about it, but I guess the point is start simple, start with very few points, and add points where you need them.
Yeah, I think that's a great point.
that's a big mic drop right there. That's like he's basically downloading his years of VFX compositing knowledge onto the plugin. So
yeah, I have a lot of those principles that I just babble on about.
Now, obviously, this can be used for a flurry of different things. The one that you mostly use as your examples are animals, just because their fur and the curvature of them are.
Animals mostly never have copyright issues.
Yeah.
The sheep, the gorilla, the lion has never come to me and said, "Hey, stop using me in your promo, bruh. Like, what are you doing?"
But one thing that I did see today that I thought was really cool, and Lloyd actually went ahead and put it up on the blog, is that you can actually finagle it to make it appear as if something's illustrated. And if you guys go to the blog, there's actually a full, I think it's like a 15-minute tutorial, 20-minute tutorial, where you can create this with Lockdown from actual footage of leaves, which I think is amazing.
But this goes to show you what it's literally a tracking tool, but Chris has really sort of explored this idea of style transfer using Lockdown. And in that trailer you saw other examples, mainly the squirrel, where when you see the squirrel just animated, it looks like a master animation, right? It looks like some Japanese director spent his entire 40 years animating that one scene to capture the exact essence of the thing. And then you realize, it's because it's an actual squirrel. And that's just like...
Yeah, and that's part of the way that we try to improve the plugin, is that the reason why I got into this whole style transfer thing is you have to be able to track every single part of the frame. And to your users, there are no excuses. It's like, okay, why does this leaf track well, but that one doesn't? Or why does the squirrel's head track well, but not the tail? So it kind of became a challenge internally for our team to take full shots, just take the shot, whatever it is, try to track everything in the frame and apply paint everywhere. And that's how we make the tool better. And that's how we prove to our users, if you can track everything in the frame, that the tool works.
and it doesn't destroy your system, but it will need a little bit of help. It runs pretty smoothly, but it does also take some time to buffer it. But obviously that makes sense with any sort of tracking where you have to.
It's gotten better. We added the caching system. We released a video, and I think no one really cared. We released a video showing like 8K tracking almost in real time, but I think the video is so boring and dry that just no one cared.
No, I mean, that's huge news. I mean, 8K and almost real time. Like, I can.
Yeah,
I mean that's some 2021 stuff right there.
In spec porn, because what really.
Whatever.
It is render a little bit faster, but it's like doesn't take you 40 years to animate it by hand either. So. You know, and it's also worth noting that, you know, the style transfer can be done now, you know, with like apps, and, you know, even we have style transfer plugins that just use machine learning to do it. But the problem with those is that they're filled with flaws. And like Chris said, he wanted to be able to have full control. Those shots, you know, those shots are perfect. And if you have ever done a job for a high-end client, it has to be perfect. You can't just have flickering in the corner and say, well, I'm sorry, that's just the way the app has an error. That's not acceptable. So to do it this way is really really cool.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned it, because that is the thing, is that you could potentially get 70-80% of a shot done, you know, automatically. Now, granted, my tracker is absolutely going to track as well as anything else out there. I'm pretty confident in that. But whatever app you did use, and then any other areas that you had to spot clean up, you can make sure it's perfect with Lockdown. I think that the feature that I'm most proud of in Lockdown is the track adjustment, which I don't know if we necessarily have time to get into it, but it's a tool where as you're tracking something, if it drifts off or it's interrupted, you drag it back to where it's supposed to be on each frame and keep moving and dragging it and placing it where it's supposed to be. And then when you retrack it, the track is smarter and knows the path, knows it's going to have to hit point A, B, C, D, and E over time, and will track and find its way through. So that's part of the reason why we're getting such good tracks, is it's so easy for the user to use non-artificial intelligence. Regular intelligence is very underrated. The artist's hand is very underrated. Giving you a tool set to allow you to just say, I want this there. It's super important. And in the advertisement, everyone likes to say, okay, this has to be automatic. But people who've worked in feature film, VFX, commercials, whatever, you know, they're spending months and months, well, years making movies in VFX because a lot of stuff just isn't automatic.
Yeah. And it's an interesting point, because After Effects as a tool, I think, is skewing towards the automatic. They're really sort of trying to make it sort of more of a popular tool. So like their 3D renderer or their what is this content aware fill. These are like, they got huge wow factor, but if you need to correct like things, little details, it's like almost impossible because they're just not built for that. So this is where having an API and being able to have a tool like Lockdown that can, you know, address these problems is fantastic. So
and our automatic tracking is really good anyway. Putting that out there.
Exactly. Well, there you go. But that's the key, is to have automatic tracking with adjustability.
Yeah.
Because adjustability is kind of what a lot of these tools and programs come down to. I mean, it's something that we kind of got into the last week when we did this, but basically just coming along is like, as we progress, obviously our phones are getting faster, and obviously these iPad apps and iPhone apps are getting stronger, but there's always that need for control and being able to like just go in and edit the smallest detail so that when the client comes back, he can't be like, well, that's what the app does. You actually have the control and you can go and make updates as needed. So I think that's always something worth being said. And it's definitely weird times. I do want to call out for the Behance audience, which we're also streaming there, that on your Lockdown page, you have Evan Abrams, who is one of our own streamers actually on Behance, and he tweeted about it, and he said the frequency with which I say this may be increasing nonetheless. The game has changed. I have had to do this manually for too long, and I love that a computer can do it now. And I just thought that was really funny when I was going through it because, Evan streams on Behance. He goes through all his motion stuff. He is a genius. I learned so much from him. If you guys are watching on Behance, make sure you go give him a follow. But this wasn't your first plugin either, though, which is why people kind of knew you prior to this. I know you kind of mentioned it before, but you also were mentioning that you did Composite Brush.
Yes.
So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to run that trailer.
Cool.
great as always. Before we move on, though, actually, I did see that Eric posted something in the YouTube chat, and I didn't call it out. He says, interested in Lockdown as a roto tool. Has that been explored?
Yeah, I mean, so the way that it works is typically you would stabilize the image, and then it's all being held entirely still for you. And we actually have a tutorial to show you how to roto with it. And because the image is being held still, then that's where you draw your masks.
Oh, perfect.
Does that make any sense?
I'm going to go through. I'm going to see if I can track down this tutorial of yours. Is that just on the
it's a
the Lockdown
pigeon.
prescription page?
If you search roto on the homepage, you'll see. Let me check.
But actually, also in the meantime, as you hunt down this roto Lockdown, going back to Composite Brush,
Yes,
we actually kind of touched on this a little bit in the previous week because it was really interesting that it is a plugin that kind of brings advanced level to the lazy, the efficient, and maybe the inexperienced. And it's really cool how it can bring something to the next level. But for our viewers seeing it for the first time, how does Composite Brush differ from just like using Keylight?
yeah. So Lloyd remembers there's this period in my life where I was like really into color math. Okay, so Composite Brush, the first thing is the interface, which is easy, which is you click and drag the colors that you want to key out, and then you alt click and drag the colors that you don't want to key. So I think that's its greatest value is that it's a system that anyone can use because it's just making selections. Using other keyers, you would typically, you have different parameters and you have to know what they do and you have to imagine how they divide and separate the color space. And I find that to be inconvenient in a lot of ways. So yeah, just click and drag interface. You can see right there on the screen. And then I guess on top of that, the other thing that makes it unique is that the algorithms that we use to actually key, without getting into any details, I personally think they're very good. That's all I can say. They're very precise. Fundamentally, I looked at all the issues with other color keyers and the way that they divided a color space, and I found a way to make sure that if there is a difference between two colors, Composite Brush will separate them and be able to give them different designations, foreground or background, opaque or transparent.
Oh, and I mean, that's such a godsend just because I know in my experience with all my keying that things can get frustrating so quickly when you're like, I can see it. Why can't the computer see it?
Yeah.
Like it's very clearly different. Or like, why are you going towards this hue when you technically should be hitting this hue before you hit that hue?
Well, that's when I threw a little fit back in like 2011 when I wrote the patent for Composite Brush because I had that same thought. I was like, these colors are different. Why won't you key?
Right.
I mean, what you're seeing right now, exactly in this example, is exactly what makes Composite Brush stand out. He's keying a green dude from a green screen, which was like forever the biggest no-no in the business, right?
Yeah, it still is. It still is. But now at least we have a solution for it.
Yeah, and I mean, even here with the orange and the skin tone.
But that just goes to show you how amazing this tool is.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Chris literally reinvented how you key colors, and that's just like another.
Right. Seriously, props. And so this was your first stab at a plugin, though, right? Or at least the first one for aescripts, right?
Well, it was my first independent stab with my own team, my own like launch off point, kind of jumping out of freelance work and trying to make it happen alone.
I mean, that is just miraculous. How can you use how can you use Composite Brush to alter footage like color manipulation? I know that's something that you also advertise with it.
Yeah, so actually that one's really great. It doesn't reinvent the wheel at all. Basically, you can make a selection and you can take another effect on your layer. So like maybe you like Lumetri, maybe you like the photo filter, whatever other effect. And through Composite Brush, you can just apply that color directly to your Composite Brush selection.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a button called Previous Effects. It's a transfer mode. And I'm not going to get into how it works. It just works. You have the other effect on there. You make the selection. You click the button. It does it.
Oh, it's
We don't have enough time.
If you ever get a chance to go buy him a beer, he'll explain to you 4D lookup tables.
And it gets worse and worse the more I drink, which Lloyd knows.
Mm.
We're going to get into multi-dimensional math. We're going to get out of the third dimension, the hypothetical fourth, fifth, and sixth. Impossible colors.
Oh, it's all within our grasp within the next 10 years,
This
right?
is like
That's something
beyond
we can
math,
plan
by
to see
the
from
way,
you.
Ryan. This is beyond math here. This is like they don't even
It's
teach this in
abstract again.
college.
But yeah, so Composite Brush is normally $99, but it is only $74.99, and that's because of the summer sale. Which is available until Friday for 25% off. For those of you that are just joining us, we're going through different extensions and plugins and scripts that are available on the site and sale. You can find all of them by just going to aescripts.com. It'll automatically bring you to the sale page. But Chris, I know that you also have something exciting for both Lockdown and I believe Composite Brush. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe it's just Lockdown. But you recently launched it on DaVinci, right?
Oh yeah. So that's part of our future plans. I mean, the Resolve is still, it's technically not even, I guess it's out of beta, but we have a million things planned and we have fixes hopefully launching by tomorrow or Wednesday. Just thank you to all of our testers from Resolve who have just been amazing helping us isolate problems and sending us logs. But yeah, it works really well in Resolve. We're going to optimize it and make it faster. I mean, obviously we started in After Effects, so some of the processes in After Effects might be a little quicker, but Resolve is high on our list, and I'm really loving using Resolve as an editor and compositor. And, maybe after that, we'll look into other hosts. As for Composite Brush, I hate to say it, that Composite Brush has been, I don't want to say it's been like forgotten. We're still working on it. But most of our team is working on Lockdown because the demand is just so high. Like Composite Brush works, people use it, they like it. The biggest complaint is they say, okay, just make it faster. And Lockdown, they're always demanding new features.
Absolutely.
So we'll get to Composite Brush for Resolve.
No, that's great. I mean, it's just exciting to see the support just continue to expand its reach and being able to use your programs to the most of their ability, no matter what you get to know in, your workflow.
But yeah, Resolve is next, and then Fusion Standalone is next after that. That one should be very easy because it's extremely similar to the Resolve Fusion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Well, that's all I pretty much have going over for you for today. We really appreciate you coming on. Like I said, you can check out all your stuff off of your profile. Where can we catch you on Twitter and Instagram? Do you keep those updated?
Oh, yeah. I'm on there fairly often, I guess, posting once in a while, mostly making dumb comments. But just I think my handles are like Chris Vranos, so I can just post them somewhere. I'll just send them to you.
Yeah, perfect. All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Really appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
And we hope to see you soon.
All right. Take care, guys.
All right. Take care. All right, so that was a pleasure having Chris on. In just a few, we're going to be having Scott on. But before we do that, I wanted to go over the ways that you can go and download your extensions through the aescripts and AE plugins manager, which is really cool. It's really handy. Once you have your account and you log in with the program that you download, both to Windows or to Mac, you get to have all of your pretty plugins and extensions available, and you click into it, and then you just click install, and then you click licenses, and it'll also go and it'll activate all your licenses, which is really exciting. And it'll keep you updated. It'll give you notifications of when summer sales are going on, so you can check it out. And then it also gives you the option of if there's updates or different modifiers. And it's super easy. You can highlight more than one thing and install all at once, uninstall all at once, I guess, if you're feeling sad.
Install, uninstall, license, unlicense, update. If you turn on your desktop notifications, it'll notify you if there's an update to one of the products.
And so it just really helps expedite the whole learning curve of having extensions and not having to go into your folders and having to worry that you're going to delete something and destroy your computer, which I know that's very antiquated. That's very 90s. But I know for some people, it's still a scary place to go. I also want to call out that I Am Binary Mind popped into the chat in YouTube and said, I picked up the Glitch bundle this morning for 25% off. Can't wait to mangle some content. I actually also have the Glitch bundle. I don't know if you could see that from that plugin thing, but I have used it so many times. And it's fun just to go in there and just destroy stuff just because you can. So best of luck with that. And you guys can also check that out at aescripts.com. And the one last thing that I wanted to touch on before we bring in Scott is the communication with AE scripts and developers, especially when you go to get help. If you navigate just to the aescripts.com page, you can always go to the support and down to contact. And from there, you can open a support ticket or look for something that's already there. And that will get you directly to the developers most of the time. And Sky just says Ryan has a handful of just a few hundred plugins, which is he's not wrong. He's not wrong. But I'm always looking to still grow them. There's so many cool things going on. I mean, these summer sales do not help as far as me needing to buy new things. But I am excited of bringing on Scott because Scott is introducing us to one that is not native to After Effects, but is instead a native to Illustrator. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring on Scott. So make sure your hair is all ready to go. And here you are.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
It's going great. Thank you for taking time to come on the show. We're really excited to go over your icon jar, icon mason. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to play the trailer and then we can talk about it.
Sure. Thanks.
In all of these trailers, they have the catchiest jingles, and I just like sit here like humming as we're doing the interview.
Yeah, you can give Lloyd full credit for that one.
Oh yeah,
helped me out. I have no background in video or anything like that. So when he said I need a video, I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm an Illustrator guy, so yeah, he helped me out with that. And,
so that's your handiwork.
I go back from time to time and watch it. I love watching it.
So, okay, so if you don't have your background in motion, what's your background and what got you into creating this extension?
Yeah, so I have kind of an eclectic background. I went to art school and got my degree in graphic design. And I spent about 10 years as an art director and honestly just never was happy doing design. Doing creative work for pay just kind of ruined the fun of the creativity for me. But I started dabbling in code. I've always been like to take electronics apart and stuff when I was a kid. So it seemed like a natural fit. And about 20 years ago, I switched over to programming and just loved it immediately, was addicted. But I still have one foot in the design world. And it seems like a lot of the stuff that I do is always related to design, at least in my side projects. My day job, I actually work at a bank. But anyway, so
you guys are killing me.
It's really eclectic. But anyway, so what led to this was I was a developer at iconfinder.com. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but It's a marketplace that sells exclusively vector icons, and now they've started doing vector illustrations recently. But anyway, yeah, there you go. It's a search engine and marketplace for premium and free vector icons. And so I had built a relationship with Martin LeBlanc, the founder, over just chatting online about icons, and joined him as a developer in 2015. And through the job there, I met the guys who built Icon Jar, and I feel like Icon Jar, I felt like for a while that it really should be sort of the de facto file format for transferring icons. It's a really convenient way of organizing them and kind of keeping all the metadata and icons packaged together. And so, but I don't like switching between apps. Like if I'm going to drag and drop icons into my layouts and stuff, I don't like having to go from one app to another. So I thought it'd be great to be able to work with the icons directly in Illustrator via a palette. And the other piece was that Icon Jar only works on Mac. It's not Windows compatible. So I had this idea to make allow you to work directly in Illustrator with the Icon Jar archives, but also to bring Windows compatibility. And since I'm friends with those guys, I had their full backing to do this. And so they were really excited about it. So
I mean, that's huge in
that's
itself.
kind of the full history of how it happened.
Absolutely. I think that the fact that you were able to have a jump between OSs, I think, is a huge support for people, especially when working in Illustrator. So this is Icon Jar app right here that we have at geticonjar.com. And so this is the buddy that works along with the extension. It is a complementary tool, not a replacement. So it helps combine the two, which I think is really cool.
Right.
And this really helps you stay organized and work into your workflow.
Yeah, and Icon Jar is a lot more full featured. It is a full icon manager. Icon Mason really is sort of a narrow scope. It's really just for being able to it's not really so much about managing icons, like organizing them in a library. It's really more about the transfer of icons between formats. So with Icon Mason, you can import folders from your desktop. You can import zip archives, or you can import Icon Jar formats, and you can also save to zip archive or to Icon Jar format. So like say if you're on Windows and somebody sends you an Icon Jar file, there is no Icon Jar file format on Windows. It just shows up as a folder, but you can easily import the Icon Jar directly into Illustrator.
Which is a lifesaver, especially when working on virtual teams now between people with different OSs. I think that's a huge deal.
Yeah, and I think one of the bigger features, I mean, because you could just import the files since it shows up as a folder. You can dig into the archive itself and get the icons easy enough. But I think one of the real benefits is being able to export to Icon Jar format. So if somebody needs you to do some edits to the icons and so forth and send them an Icon Jar file back, then you can export in Icon Jar format or zip format and send it back as well. So it exactly like you said, it makes the collaboration between teams a lot easier.
And then also, I think another really big thing that stood out to me was that it says that Icon Mason uses fuzzy search. So you don't have to match the file name or tags exactly to be able to find what you're looking for.
Yeah, that was another thing that I wanted to, because nobody really searches for the exact word. I mean, it's hard to think of like the exact spelling and so forth, or the exact words to use. So I found some really good JavaScript. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head which one I use at the moment, but yeah, it uses fuzzy search in their really nice JavaScript search tool that I implemented. And so it works pretty well. I mean, the only drawback is that when you start getting into really massive archives, and a lot of times, I know several designers, one designer who's a good friend that I'm collaborating with on another tool, or kind of like a second generation of Icon Mason, is Ramu at Round Icons. And his library is about 40,000 icons and growing. So, and he sells a subscription to his icon library. It's I think a one-time, like a lifetime fee that you pay, and you get lifetime access. You pay a one-time fee and get lifetime access to his library, and you get about 1,000 icons a month, I think is what he adds to it. But anyway, so the point is that you're often working with large sets of icons, and the search seems to work really well. Even with very large. I communicated with the developer who, again, I'm a little bit nervous, so I'm drawing a blank on who it was, but I contacted him about the search and said, hey, if I'm getting into 40, 50,000 icons, is this search going to choke? And he said, no, it'll handle that without any problem. You won't notice any lag or anything like that. So far I haven't run into any limitations with that.
That's phenomenal. And then also to your point of talking about round icons, I think that's a cool segue to talk about that in the initial package of if you get the Icon Mason extension from aescripts, it actually comes with 300 free icons, which is really cool.
Yeah, technically it comes with 330. I included. I'm also an icon designer, which is kind of what led to all of this, me getting interested in the icons to begin with. But I have a collection called Diversity Avatars that was, obviously there's a lot of angst, for lack of a better word, a lot of tension in the world, and I wanted to create something that kind of helped alleviate that to some extent, if in my small way. So I created Diversity Avatars for that reason, and so I include the freebie from that collection in the package as well. And then Rami donated 300 of his icons to be part of the initial install. So you get a nice little set of collection of icons free with the app as well, or with the extension as well.
And that's great. I went ahead and I actually threw the diversityavatars.com link also into both chats,
Cool.
just so that people can go on here and you can download them if you'd like. I'm sure they'd be great for especially a lot of UI and UX designers around Behance for creating profiles and needing icons for users. I think it would be really great to be able to incorporate some of those.
Yeah, there's there's over, I think, about 830 avatars in the collection. So it's a pretty nice set. There's some really fun ones in there and some more serious ones, but
yeah. I mean, I see Batman right here.
Nice. Yeah, it's a nice collection. I've got several versions of Batman, Catwoman, that sort of thing. You see Charlie Chaplin there, and some robots and other stuff. So
that's fun. It's fun that you can have fun with the icons, but you can also have a wider range of actual use case.
Yep.
And so when did this come to be? When did you release Icon Mason?
I believe it was May 1st last year. That the only place I'm currently selling it is on aescripts and aplugins. It was honestly the only platform that fit my needs. I have not even uploaded this to Adobe Exchange yet. So this is an exclusive product on aescripts and aplugins. I think it's been out for a little over a year.
Congratulations!
Right now,
nice little pandemic project.
Yeah, this was my I was working on it for about 18 months before that, and I'm a one-man show, so it was all me. I was listening to some of the other guests talk about their teams, and I'm like, I wish I had a team.
I think it's still admirable that you're on here. You're like, yeah, on my day job, I'm working at a bank, and I'm coming home and I'm developing software, which is really cool.
Yeah, well, I develop software at my day job too, but it's totally different. I'm a cloud developer, AWS cloud developer by day, and then I love doing this stuff. So I stay up way too late almost every night working on this kind of stuff. But it's a lot of fun. I love doing it.
I do want to say hello to a bunch of guests that just came in the door through Adobe Live over on Behance. Welcome to the stream. Right now, we're talking to Scott Lewis, who is the developer behind Icon Mason, which is a extension for Illustrator that helps combine both Illustrator and Icon Jar. And we were also talking about how he also has a selection or collection of diversity avatar icons that you can download for free. I include them in the chat. And it's great to have you. We are currently going over the AE scripts and AE plugins week-long summer sale, and we'll be here all week, every day at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But right now we're just looking at this. I know we already watched it, but I'm going to replay the trailer just since we had about 40 or 50 people hop in. So I'm going to go ahead and play it again one more time. Awesome. And I also want to go ahead and I want to pull up Icon Mason User's Guide, which you can access through docs.iconmason.com / hashtag or pound, depending on how old you are. And there it has a full-on like Wikipedia of sorts, just completely breaking down every single aspect of the extension. So no matter what you're comfortable with, you'll be able to get full answers from there, which is really great. Even how to install free icons. Okay. But I think I've pretty much covered everything, actually, unless there's anything else that I might have missed.
If I could plug just a couple of things. I mentioned earlier that we were Rami and I are working on sort of a second generation of this. And I've been telling my followers on Twitter that I was going to tease that project. So basically, I'm going to expand Icon Mason beyond just working with IconJar, and it's going to be API compatible to connect to start with Rami's API on his website to allow users, his subscribers, and even non-subscribers to search his icon library, drag and drop into their documents. But it's going to be compatible not only with Illustrator, but XD, Sketch, and Figma as well. Hopefully going to do it with one code base. So far it's going well, but we're pretty early in development. The other thing is that I talked to the guys at IconJar literally just like 2 minutes before I came on the show, and they've given me a coupon code that I can share for 25% off of IconJar to go along with the summer sale promo for Icon Mason as well.
Awesome. Whoa, that's awesome. Where can we get that?
Ryan likes a good sale.
Yeah, let me grab that. Now the coupon code, this is a pretty deep cut for them. They're just two guys who have created this, but the URL is https geticonjar.com. And if you use that coupon code, you'll get 25% off of IconJar.
Oh,
say that again? What was that?
It's in the chat.
It's geticonjar.com.
No, but how much was it?
25% off.
Amazing.
Truly amazing. 25% off.
Very generous of those guys. They've been so supportive. I mean, I'm building an app that, some people kind of felt like it was a competitor, but it really is a companion. I'm not trying to duplicate their functionality, and it's been really great to have their support and endorsement on this. So I want to thank those guys, and want to thank you too, Ryan and Lloyd, for all your help. And this is my very first product. This is the first time I've ever tried to build and sell a product. So it's been a great experience so far, and I really appreciate the support and the opportunity to come on the show. So,
and I should say that we obviously are very much I think focused on motion video and stuff. And so when Scott came to me with IconJar, I was like, it just everything about it lines up with everything that we are about, right? It just it makes it so much, your workflow so much better, and of course it makes it possible for Windows users, which was not possible before. So we're really excited to be able to bring something like this to, we have a very much smaller selection of Illustrator tools, but we still basically hold the same sort of threshold or whatever, like litmus test to get tools into the, we don't just want to add tools to add them. They really need to sort of align with what we want to provide. And Icon Mason does exactly that. So we really love having it.
Yeah, and there may be opportunities too to start to build some bridges between the motion graphics and the vector icon space as well.
Definitely
implementing those. I mean, like I said, I've done a little bit of AE scripting, but it's fairly, even the concepts of motion graphics are foreign to me. But I'm a pretty quick study, so
and I should say that
hand holding, I can get there.
I should also say that while not every Illustrator user is an After Effects user, I can guarantee you that 99% of After Effects users are also Illustrator users, which is another reason why we like having the tool, because a lot of the work in After Effects starts in Illustrator, especially nowadays with the SVG and the web being sort of vector based. A lot of design is starting now in Illustrator, and then going through After Effects, and now through body moving, Lottie, which is another tool that we have that allows you to export your animated Illustrator stuff in SVG format, so you can have these really cool animated web pages that are very low sort of weight and download size. So there's a lot.
Lisa's saying Icon Jar would be cool for AE if you're working on a tune and have many characters, which I know you already have your hands completely full with Figma and XD, which I'm sure so many people are very excited about. There are constantly streams on Behance with XD. I know that it is, and Figma as well, both being really pivotal in the UI and UX world, just continuing to grow. So I think it's really exciting that you have compatibility with that coming up, and we're looking forward to see that as well.
And it's worth noting that this coupon code is for geticonjar.com to get icons.
Yep.
To get Icon Mason. Is it Mason or Mason?
Mason. So the name kind of goes with the Icon Jar Mason jar.
Right. Yeah.
So I actually did collaborate with those guys on the name as well. So it was kind of a play on their name.
So it's important to note that Icon Mason does not require a coupon code. It's just on 25% off sale.
Right. It's also important to call out that you do not have to have Icon Jar in order to use Icon Mason. It works independent of the app. It works, obviously your workflow is going to be a lot better if you have both the app and the extension, but you can use the extension without the app.
Yeah, so if I'm working with someone who uses Icon Jar and I don't personally have it and I only use it for that one client, I can get Icon Mason and still access their files through Illustrator without having to go and get Icon Jar.
Yeah, and you can send them back in Icon Jar format as well, so you don't need Icon Jar to read or create the Icon Jar format. But I definitely encourage getting it. It's a really great tool to have as part of your workflow, but you can work perfectly well without it.
Absolutely. But great. No, I'm really glad we got to go through this, and it was really nice having you on the show.
Thanks.
We look forward to having people look into this throughout the week. Kind of like Lovatt was saying, it's coupon code free all through the week until Friday, where you can get 25% off. Normally it is about $20, and it is $14.99 until Friday, which is great. So.
And I love hearing from users, hearing feature ideas, and just getting feedback. So if folks want to reach out to me, I'd love to hear from them and chat about icons or about development or anything else.
That's fantastic. Cool. Well, thank you again, Scott, for coming on. I hope to talk to you soon, and we look forward to future developments with Icon Mason. Mason.
It's French.
Yeah, right. We look forward to seeing more updates in the future.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
All right, have a good one.
All right, bye.
And that's all of our guests for today. We will be back tomorrow at 4 o'clock Eastern. Is it daylight time or savings time?
We're in daylight savings time.
Daylight savings time. I learned today, everybody. Today, I'm 28. I learned today that EST and EDT are not interchangeable. You have to use them in relation to which part of savings time that you're in, which is ridiculous and makes it even more complicated than daylight savings time already is. So I apologize if I ever confuse anybody.
EST is Eastern Standard Time and EDT is Eastern Daylight.
Well, it's always standard to me,
Right,
because the world revolves around where I'm living. So
Correct.
But I do want to say thank you to everyone. Also, wait, I forgot to ask. Is Steve? I mean, is Scott from like Maryland?
I don't know where he's from, to be honest.
It sounded like he had a Maryland accent. I could hear the ooze, and I was
My
like,
wife
"Wait."
is from Maryland, and I would not be able to spot a Maryland accent. So
I couldn't until I moved to New York, and then I went back, and my mom talked, and I was like, "Whoa, you talk like that?" Anyway, I digress. We'll be back tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have the pleasure of bringing on Alex White and Oliver Mayo. And we'll be going over products later in the week. We have Brenton Grander, we have The Machine Must Work, we have Nick Ska and Mahing, and we also have Gregor Urbal, or Oralable. And I'll be sure to get the names right when we have them on as guests. But in the meantime, I just want to say thank you to everybody who participated in chat and everybody else who just kind of like hung out and lurked. It was great to have you guys, from Zack, Sarah, Elise, Aider, Aisha, Alex, Ron, Son, I'm hoping I'm not missing anyone. Raymond, Eric. We also had Very Good Freelancer again, which is great. I always love that username. I know you were here in previous weeks. Christopher, who we had on the show, was also in the chat. We have Virgil. And then, of course, my mod squad over on Behance with Annika and Randall. Then we have Katerina, Corey, Sky, Jack, you name it. And I'm sorry if I missed any names. I think that's it, though. So it's been really great having you guys. Also, Alexis, and for everyone joining from Adobe Live. I know we kind of overlap with Adobe Live, so you guys get pushed on after here. But in the event that you want to learn more about extensions on AE scripts and AE plugins, hop on over here at 4 o'clock tomorrow and ditch your Adobe Live friends and hang out with us instead. We will be going over all sorts of the sales, showing you how to use these projects, how to use these products, and how they can work into your workflow. We're here with Lloyd, who is the owner of AE Scripts and AE Plugins, which is a pleasure to have. He knows his stuff inside and out. And together we will walk you through the best that we can.
And Ryan, they don't have to ditch their friends. We're all friends.
They do. You can always watch the replays, but it's more fun when you're here. But thank you for following. Also, to Andreas. I'm also sorry if I missed any follows while we were doing this. Also, thank you to Abshikek and Zack for following. And we will see you guys tomorrow.
Bye. Thank you.
All right, have a good one.
Thank you.